So the reason why you would utilize a system like this is for the ability to have a better reach and the ability to have the capability to reach. Maybe you need to perform a weld on the top of a robotic weld fixture. You may need to also flip that robotic weld fixture over and then perform some welds on the bottom side. Now, one other instance that you may have is maybe you need to weld on the top or weld on the bottom, and you can then bring that weld fixture closer to the robot to be able to perform the weld. Or maybe the robot can't reach in a certain angle, so you can tilt that fixture with that 7th axis to be able to hit that weld. So that's one of the largest advantages of those type of systems. Now, when it comes to the number of robots within the system, that is generally based on a few different things. One of the things being your reach. So sometimes the robot can't reach the entire fixture. So even if you put the robot directly in the center of the fixture, it may not be able to reach the top left corner of the fixture, or it may not be able to reach the top right corner of the fixture. So in those instances, you have to have 2 robots, so that way they can both be offset from the center some and be able to reach the component. Now, one other reason to have an additional robot is cycle time. So the more robots that you have, essentially the faster your cycle time can be. So if you think about it, no matter what in a welding process, you can only speed up the welding process so quick. After that, the only thing you can do is add additional robots to the system to be able to perform more welds simultaneously to then increase your output of the system. So now we're going to go to the second system down from that. And that system is going to be a somewhat similar system, but instead of having a tournion that rotates vertically, you have a table that rotates horizontally. And so the horizontally rotated table, really the biggest difference from this type of fixture is that it doesn't have 2 auxiliary axes on each side. Or generally you don't go with this type of setup if you need additional auxiliary axes. So this is also tends to be a lower cost solution, just because the overall mechanism of the rotary table is a lot more simple than an entire tournion that is a much larger structure and have multiple gearboxes on it. Again, this system has the ability for you to have an operator outside of the cell. You load your parts into the fixture, you step outside the cell, you cycle start it, it then rotates inside to the robotic weld cell where the robot starts to perform its welds. While the robot is performing its welds, the operator will then load the other set of fixturing with its child parts, step outside the cell, get the go signal again, and then as soon as those child parts are done being welded on the inside, it will rotate out, the new parts will rotate in, and the robot will continue its welding process.